for a long-term position. The prices are already great on certain counters. If it goes back, right, and you say, okay, it's good for me to be able to pay a premium, at least I know that the coast is clear and, you know, the dust is settled, then fine. Then that focus is security. That focus is safety, right? But if you have more, di ba, mas marami kang pang-invest, then I will follow, you know, a combination of this discipline where I take what you tell people in your videos. Like, you were gonna say, you know, this is the resistance, this is the support. So if I see resistance and support, I now have a budget for that range. This lockdown will end. I mean, we all know that. In China, it's already happening, right? That will happen here. Now, what will happen when it does happen? What will happen to you? So think about how you can maneuver. Think about how you can keep yourself, let's just say, not just afloat, but secure, but also look at opportunities. Because if you're too safe, sayang lang. You know, I remember, Marvin, last year, people are telling me, sayang, no, if we can only go back to 2008, 2009. Sayang, ano? Now you're back. Now we're here.
So, hi everyone. We are in for, again, a very, very special treat. For me, we have one of the greatest investors in Philippine history in the vlog at this time when there's a lot of uncertainty. So, without much ado, the CEO of Soldivo and Rampver, Rex Mendoza. So, hello.
Hi, Marvin. You know, great to be here with you. Great to be in this video. Great to be able to reach out to all of your followers. And they're very, very many. I'm sure they're all stuck on screens right now, just listening and watching all of your videos. Huh?
I actually called it lockdown learning. So all of the videos produced during the lockdown it will be under that, so that the goal is at least somehow the people who have the chance to stay online can retool, build their skills for whatever things that will happen after this. So first question, let's get to the thick of the action. What are you doing at times like this? This is something that a lot of people were, I don't know, the question a few months and a few years back, the market is too expensive. Now we are at the point where I think at its lowest, the PE of the market hit 8 times. I think, if I remember correctly. What are you doing?
Well, again, as I always mention, you know, when times like this happen, the people who are ready can look at it as an opportunity. If you have enough liquidity kept on the side, and if you have enough discipline to handle that liquidity, stuff like this will always be things that you look back on. You know, Marvin, we've been together in many videos. You've interviewed me. You remember all of those times when when we talked about Jollibee, we talked about PLDT, we talked about Ayala Land, those unbelievable prices. Well, they happen during times like these. These are the times when those things can be snatched. Now, problem is, not a lot of people are ready for it. So if you're going to ask me, yes, I'm positioning, yes, I'm trading a bit, but I have the discipline of having, like, let's say, a core portfolio, and you know that, I shared that with you. I have a core portfolio where I really buy and hold, and there's another portfolio that I actually trade. So when I do that, I now have two objectives, right? So depending on someone's objective, this can be a great opportunity. And knowing that we're not doing anything, we have the time. So take advantage of all of this. Can you imagine, like, my whole family was on a table, all of us are online, and, you know, it's payabangan, you know. Oh, what did you get, Ali? You know, I was able to pick up 21.20. Yung isa, 22.50 na ako. 21.80 ako. So, payabangan. Kasi, you know, when markets are, like, swinging that badly, all you need to do is just post and hoping somebody hits you, right? So, like, part of that, you know, we've already sold. You know, if this is a trading portfolio, you make 30%. Part of that we already sold. But over time, I'm even buying at higher prices for my core portfolio, but I don't care. I mean, on that core portfolio, I'll be looking at prices down the road. So what am I doing? I mean, this is paradise. I mean, for someone ready for it. That's why I'm sharing with a lot of people, again, what we have missed in terms of the basics, and you've taught that all along, diba? That discipline. Sana, you know, this is the time to get back to those. This is the learning experience all over again. The fact that history repeats itself, people never learn. So people who are actually positioned, people who are ready, have this opportunity. But people who are in debt, people who don't have cash flows, people who have no emergency funds, you know, obviously their concerns are going to be very, very different. And it's really like we all have to feel bad for them. It's just that for others, you know, this might be a good time. But again, as we say this, and I shared it with a lot of my friends, syempre kinikita ko din dyan, you know, we're able to give nakakapag-donate tayo. So I tell myself, you know, if I'm earning this much from my trading, a percentage of that goes to charity. So siguro, the Lord blesses me with my trades right now kasi alam niya, part of it I'm sharing, right? So, you know, stuff like that. That's the luxury.
Just to double down on your question, for sure, on your answer, for sure, if you are in debt, you don't know how your cash flow is, you should not be investing at this time, no matter how cheap it is. You need to protect your money first. You need to protect your future first.
Of course, we don't know how long this is going to take. Some people are thinking, oh, end of April. Some people are even, you know, wishful thinking, like April 12, it's all done. I think that is going to be very, very optimistic. No? You should be ready for a longer enhanced community quarantine period. And because of that, you know, I'm going to be, if I'm in dire straits, I'm going to be focusing on money for food, money for medicines, you know, just in case someone gets hit in the family, at least, you know, there is something there for that emergency.
Okay. But now, I want to segment into the ones that have extra. And the biggest question that they have is, okay, mura siya, pero what if it goes lower? What if I buy now, then it drops even more? And then there's a lot of citations that there's no cure yet, there's no vaccine yet, we don't know the economic impact yet, how big it will be. Parang there's an argument that if I come in now, what if it gets even worse and it gets even lower?
Okay, that's why I need to define this very, very well and specify answers. No, because the answer that we're gonna be talking about, or answers that we're gonna be discussing, is not a one size fits all. So it really depends, right? For example, I have money to put in, but you know, it can still go down. But I can tell you, if this is for a long-term position, the prices are already great on certain counters. If it goes back, right, and you say, okay, it's good for me to be able to pay a premium, at least I know that the coast is clear and, you know, the dust is settled, then fine. Then that focus is security. That focus is safety, right? But if you have more, di ba, mas marami kang pang-invest, then I will follow, you know, a combination of this discipline where I take what you tell people in your videos. Like you were gonna say, you know, this is the resistance, this is the support. So if I see resistance and support, I now have a budget for that range. So alam ko na, if I'm gonna invest for my core portfolio, I'm gonna invest that much. So I'm gonna try, you know, at a certain level, when it goes to support, di ba, dun ako bumibili. Okay? Now, let me say this. What if it gets pierced and you get another, you know, swing going down into a new resistance and support? Then I have another amount that's budgeted for that. That amount will not come in when the higher resistance and support are respected by the market. So at the very least, I can say, when markets go up, I've already bought at that range where I felt it was already low. But if it goes down further, I now have a separate budget for that. You know, a friend already asked me, Rex, so hanggang saan? You know, I've cut up my liquidity so much so that hanggang 3,000 may panlagay ako eh. Hanggang 3,000. If this market goes down to 3,000, I have something. If it goes down lower than 3,000, I'm sorry, wala na, ubus na tayo doon, right? So that discipline is creating a liquidity budget per range. So much so that when it goes down, then I'll rethink again. I will wait for that new support and buy again at that level because I'm buying for the long term. Now, if you're buying for trading purposes, then that's going to be a different story. Then you look at other parameters, you look at other, you look at other metrics, right? Nag-iiba yung metrics depending on your objective. But if you're a long-term investor, then the discipline is totally different, right? So again, answers specific to certain people and certain situations. That's very, very important.
I have a question. You opened something very, very interesting. No, you said tranches per specific range. What's your philosophy in all of this? Is there a specific percentage drop, and then that's when you start to add? Then second is, say you have 100%. How do you tranche it up? How is it divided by 4, divided by 5, divided by 3, etc.?
No, I look at, again, I follow Mr. Marvin Hermo. I listen to the support and the resistance numbers that he gets, right? So what I do, when I do all of these bands, I look at my budget, I look at my investable funds. Now, when I say investable funds, this is investable funds for the stock market. I have investable funds for fixed, I have investable funds for mutual funds. You see, I have money for mutual funds because I want to compete with the fund managers, right? I'd want to see if my fees are getting, getting to the right places, right? So I compartmentalized my portfolio. So much so that when I look at this, Marvin, all I'm saying is this: I don't want to over technicalize everything, if that's a term that you can use for it. But you see, this is simply dollar cost averaging with a little technical flavor to it, right? It's dollar cost averaging. It's nothing more. I mean, I'm just putting money at certain phases of the market, but I'm just using the technicals for timing purposes. I'm not good as Marvin Hermo, who can really read all that in real time. I don't do that. So what I do is that I listen to you, I listen to your support ranges, resistance, ganyan, and then I put budgets. So it's technically, dollar cost averaging. It's just that I refine it because I have what I call gates. When gates are smashed, then I have another budget for that new range. Parang ganon.
Okay. Will there be also, that's for downward movements, or if it breaks out, goes to another level upward, will you still also allocate in the direction upward, or pang lang yun, habang bumababa lang siya?
Habang bumababa lang siya. Kasi alam mo, pag umaakyat na, may nabili na ako at that range. Remember when this was going down, I was not really stopping, whoever thought it's gonna be 4,000, 5,000. At about 6,000, I think there was a time when the support was 6,006. I was buying then at 6,006. I don't know if that was a alpha or the start of this virus, but I was already buying then. So ibig sabihin, when the market go back to that level, I've already had purchases at that level. So I manage, unless, I have a budget that wasn't spent yet for that range. But more or less, when it goes down, I'm able to deploy. The question of a lot of people pertains to deployment. If you have excess cash flow, deployment is going to be very, very crucial.
Okay. How about people who their timelines are very, very long and they can manage the volatility? Would you suggest that today, at this point, or as long as it's still very, very cheap and very, very low, they just put it in, pero tanggap nila kung bumagsak man, they can sleep well with it? Would that be a good strategy for them?
Well, that's the way we differentiate in the family. Because when I'm looking at my children, that's their point of view. That's totally different. They have such a long runway. They're in their 20s, right? And probably that's the same mindset I had when I bought PLDT at 11 pesos, going into, lower and lower until 350, right? So ganun din yun. I was in my 20s and I can hold on. Like, at the end of the day, these guys are living with me. They really have cash flows and outflows to look at. So they really can position for the long term. And I'll tell you, maybe it's a mistake to have bought PLDT. What? My kids were buying it at 990, 980 until the low 900s. Now it just came back because obviously, hindsight na yan. But at that time, parang you cannot go wrong. If you're going to be looking at PLDT at that price over a period of 3 to 5 years, I don't think you can go wrong. It's just that, people are so emotional when it comes to that level of the market that when it's plunging, it's almost like, there's no tomorrow. I guess this kind of discussion focuses on the emotion. If you can take the emotion out, then it becomes very different. You're gonna be a lot braver, di ba? Like my daughter's gonna say, my son's gonna say, I can take a look at that, after like 2 to 3 years. So in which case, they'll obviously be afloat.
You open up something about PLDT. Would you say that it would be interesting to look at the telcos right now because number one, their dividends as they're low are very, very attractive. And number two, because everyone, like this Zoom meeting, we're using data, which those telcos are charging all of us from. Is that your idea for what should people focus on? The dividends that it will give, or is it because these companies are gonna make money because everyone's at home right now using internet?
Well, kahit paano nga, I'm gonna say I've been able to have the research done, the analysis done, because I have time now. It's not a regular day when we're lodged in all of these meetings and there's so many things to do in the office. Now I have time to research. I have time to compare. Now, again, I'll probably answer that in a parang roundabout way, but more importantly, the basics again. At times like this, I don't go beyond the big caps. I am just going to be focusing on companies with liquidity, companies with strong balance sheets, companies that will probably be there no matter what happens. Okay? They have a good product, good brand, they're in great industries, they're probably suffering now as everyone else is, but there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. Now, it doesn't mean I won't have, second liners. I'll probably have very strong second liners that I know, very close to my heart that I know. So when I look at the universe that I'm playing with today, it's just going to be AC, Ali, SM Prime, SM, a few name banks, BDO, BPI, second tier, China Bank. But then, very special. Why is telco very special? It's exactly what you said. Number one, out of all the industries, probably what I'm looking at is this whole problem is not only neutral for them, it's actually a plus. It's a plus. Everyone's at home, everyone's consuming data. So I feel that they'll probably have problems with, again, payroll, work from home, all that. But that's going to be negated or counter balanced by good revenues, right? And then this is the other thing that I'm betting on. Before this happened, the third telco is already delayed. Obviously, with what happened today, that third telco will be more delayed. So that will assure PLDT and Globe much more time to, dominate the industry, right? As a duopoly. So technically, they will do well as companies. And that's the reason why, even if I put money there, it goes down. I am so confident, easily I can recover from that. So basically, it's a universe that's very narrow, very, very different compared to my trading universe when the market's okay. When the market's okay, we trade in, sometimes even the illiquid stocks, right? But today, I'm not gonna touch that except for a few, that are very close to my heart, very few. But the others, I won't touch.
And what I've seen, markets are going down, foreigners are selling. Pero I like what you said that those names, when they come back, they will always go back to those names also. The names that they sold are the ones that they will go back into also later.
And I've been seeing that, may foreign buying na on Ayala Land. If you've seen the trades, bumabalik na sila little by little. So I think there's a bit of a support level in these big issues that we already seen.
I have a question on that before I proceed to my next one. You mentioned banks and property development companies. Because of the lockdown, is it a concern ba that there might be defaults in condominiums, or you think it's something that's short term lang, that later on whatever issues that will come out from this, it's something that 2 years from now, 3 years from now, uh, mababawi din nila yung earnings from that, or you're buying it because kahit may default yan, sobrang mura na eh, so I'll buy it anyways.
I don't think it's going to be like that, particularly different from 1997. No, looking at the market in 1997, there were really a lot of people who bought property to flip them. So they don't really intend to finish paying. They want a pre-sale price, and once it gets delivered, they will sell that and flip, and then go buy another property again. I think for most part, the people who have bought properties this time, are people with a staying power. They can pay. Whether the unit is rented or not, I think most of them have invested because they can pay. Now, I'm not saying that non-performing loans will not go up. It will go up, but not at the same level that they did in 97. I'm very confident that it's not the same. It's not like that. However, as I say that, syempre, let me be honest about it as well. I mean, I expect reservation sales to actually go down. Kasi some of these guys have no skin in the game yet. They've put in a little money for reservations. They've started a few, amortizations. They can actually back out because if their focus is going to be on liquidity and cash flow. So there are still going to be things like that. So the problem that these real estate developers will have is more of the short term, as they still continue the construction because that's a commitment, right? So it's going to be let's just say a cash squeeze because the money inflows might not come, and all of these waivers, all of these sabihin na natin na mga grace periods, okay, are gonna clip the cash flow, but they have to continue construction when this is all over. So there would be quite a strain on liquidity, and that's why for property developers, I will really stick to the strong ones with the strong balance sheets and the very strong liquidity positions.
Right. Amazing. Final words for stock investors that right now are scared or they're anxious and it's their first time to experience volatility like this. There are people who invested 2 years ago at the peak. They're now losing at least half of their position. What can you say to encourage them or at least help them stay the course?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, siguro nga, I'm gonna say maybe I'm in a position to say this because I've had over 4 decades of experience, right? I've been through many of this, and as if as people would say, this is really different. I heard that before. I heard 2008 was really different. 1997 was really different. Yes, I will agree. There would be things that are different. But at the end of the day, guys, recoveries happen. I mean, recoveries happen. There would be a tomorrow. This lockdown will end. I mean, we all know that. In China, it's already happening, right? That will happen here. Now, what will happen when it does happen? What will happen to you? So think about how you can maneuver. Think about how you can keep yourself, let's just say, not just afloat, but secure, but also look at opportunities. Because if you're too safe, sayang lang. I remember, Marvin, last year, people are telling me, sayang, no, if we can only go back to 2008, 2009. Sayang, now you're back. Now we're here. And then again, people still don't do it. And then we go up again. And then they're going to say, sayang pala, nung lockdown, dapat I invested. So for the guys who will have the extra cash now, I'm not going to say put a big bet, big bet on everything. No. Put it in trickles. If you're a little secure, tingnan natin. If it's really a bottoming out, I'm not sure. There can be a big leg down if this shit hits the fan. But as I've said, Ali, below 30 for me is great value. Okay, so all of these other prices, SM Prime, again, also below 30 is also great value. So they never these prices will never cease to amaze me. When things are going to be okay, we're going to go back to these prices. And Marvin, we're going to have new videos 2-3 years from now where we're going to be talking about exactly this, right? And this time it's very different because you can now clip a part of that video and you can show it 3 years from now. See, that's exactly what I'm doing with my slides now. Ang totoo, some of my slides that I show people in my videos are slides that I used in 97 and 2009. I mean, it's that bad. I mean, it's the same slides. So I tell a lot of people the recovery will happen, and you have to look at this as an opportunity if you have the luxury to. So for those guys who are scared, I mean, you can go to mutual funds. If you have mutual fund accounts, they're bad, right? They're half or they're 60%, diba? Or really losing half. Okay? Can you imagine if you can put an amount that's equal to your investment today? Then you're not down by half anymore. You're now, almost like 75% now, so that when the market recovers, you can easily recoup. You don't have to go back to 100% again, and that can take a little time. You average down because it's a good time to average down. But if you want to average down on a consistent basis, you're not stuck. I mean, as low as 1,000 you can add. As low as 2,000 you can add. So para kasali, the problem about these opportunities is that they come to pass. And that's the reason why they say opportunities are birds that never purchase. Hindi yan dumadapo eh. You have to catch them in flight, right? And this is the time to do it. This is the time to catch them.
Wow, amazing. I hope you guys got a lot from this suggestion. You watch this over and over so you can digest all of the principles, and this will go down as one of the greatest advice in YouTube ever. Anyways, before I let you go, are there any advocacies where people can donate into that we could promote also? And second is, after all of this is said and done, how can people invest in mutual funds? Any link or numbers that they can call as well?
I'm because of certain reasons, I'm very close to a province. And that province is Bataan. It's about 2.5-3 hours from here, and much like the provinces, they're in a worse situation than Metro Manila, right? Their hospitals are not as equipped. They don't have the equipments like the PPEs, the masks. They need a lot of these meds, help for the doctors. But for most part, I think the biggest difficulty would be the barangay folk that are in the poorest sectors. They're tricycle drivers, lift drivers, they're farmers, fishermen. They don't have any way of earning money. So if we can help, please. There would be a foundation. It's called U-Town Pen. You can just search for it. University Town, the Peninsula. It's obviously an education foundation before, but because of the COVID-19, they've shifted their focus to providing food for the poorest of the poor in the province and the hospitals and the frontliners. So if you can help, as I tell many people, this also would be a great time to share. Sharing, contributing is an investment. Always believe that. I always say that over and over again. You can never ever outgive God. And if you do give to others, if you do give to help, that is a great investment for yourself. And you will never know how that will come back. And I'll tell you, it's not going to be percentages. That's going to be multiples, multitudes. Okay. Thank you so much, Marvin. That's a great chance for me to mention that. Thank you.
Okay, I'll put the link below for you guys who want to see more of it or at least want to donate. So thank you so much, Rex Mendoza, Soldivo, Ramper, and I hope that you got a lot from this video, and I hope this helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon, guys, and God bless you.